so here's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how to fix your mistakes. We're gonna wet sand and buff this whole vehicle. We do have some little bit of trash in it, very minor. We're gonna go ahead and do the whole roof and the quarters. So that's what you're looking for, this little minor trash. So I'm gonna go over wet sanding and buffing and fixing your runs after you paint something and mess something up. We've got a sag to fix, like right here, okay, and we got some little ones down here, and then on the other side we had some, and then like I said, we're just gonna do a cut buff it all over. So I'm gonna show you most of it off of this big major one, okay, how to fix your run, and off of this sag. These are the two I'm gonna teach you on, and I'm not gonna show you on every single sag or every single run. There is only, I think, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5. I think that's all there was. Getting anything bigger than that, you probably just need to sand it and repaint the panel. But all these little ones like this can be fixed easily. So we're gonna go over that, and then we're also gonna go over what to look for when you're cutting, and then I'm gonna buff it. I'm not gonna teach you so much on the buffing part because I'm not a buffing expert. I can get it done, but I don't wanna give you wrong information. So we're basically gonna focus on how to cut a run out and what you're looking for, the way I do it, and then what you're looking for when you're wet sanding, and then I will go over the steps briefly of buffing. But if you want to learn how to be an amazing buffer and all of that, you'll have to go and probably find somebody else's video, unfortunately, because I don't want to give out wrong information. So let's dive right in and fix these problems. All right, the very first thing we're going to do is let's go over how to make a hard block if you don't have a hard block. So you're going to get your mixing stick out. I'm going to use 2-inch tape. You can use 1.5 inch. You can use 1 inch, whatever you have. I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna roughly mark it. So it's gonna be something like that. And then I'm just gonna cut it, okay? I'm gonna take another one and mark that. Cut it. I like to do 3 pieces so I have something to grab onto. You can go buy a hard block. A ton of different sanding blocks on the market. They can be cheap. That's not what we're here for. This video is to help you at your house if you don't have stuff or you're on a budget. This is not for the guys that are an expert at everything and have a lot of money to work with. This is to help out the average Joe. And you're gonna wrap your tape around it. Come back to a little more on this side, and you kind of want to make your tape even as possible, because if it's not even, then you're not really gonna have a true sanding block that's nice and even. So I'm gonna make sure it's nice and pushed down for the most part. Okay, so there's what you end up with. It's a little block. Now what I've done already, and I've been using these for a while, is I actually have a few different ones. So as you can see, there's another one I made that's close to the same. On that one I actually wrapped the ends up and everything by wrapping, I think, inch tape this way. But there's a little tiny one if you need to get it in a little area. So I just wanted to make a fresh one to show you guys. All right, so I'm gonna start out with 1,000 grit. This is what I'm using. It's 1,000 grit on the DA paper. I don't have 1,000 grit a sheet of paper. Today is Monday after Christmas, and I'm not even sure if the paint store is open. So this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna take this and just cut this down to the length of my block. And also what I'm about to go over with y'all is how I do it. You need to keep that in mind. That's very important, because there's gonna be people in the comments, I know it eventually, that are saying I'm doing it wrong, and there's an easier way to do it. The easier way to do it is in your opinion. You know, what you feel comfortable with and what you like to do. This is what I like to do, this is what I feel comfortable with. I will go ahead and tell you so you can look it up. I'm not gonna show you how because I don't do it. There is a trick using a razor blade, a normal razor blade like this, okay? And you take it and you just scratch it over to clear like this. You basically roll it over to clear like this, okay? This clear coat was expensive. I don't do the razor blade trick, and I don't want to learn how to do the razor blade trick today on Randy's car. I have no interest in learning how to do the razor blade trick. I know that it can be faster. I understand that, I'm fully aware of it, but I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels. If you're doing something and you don't like the way it feels and it doesn't feel comfortable to you and you're not comfortable with it, if you do it over and over, you'll get better at it, but you can also just do it another way. Like it's not like you have to use a razor blade. So you're gonna get comments in here about the razor blade trick. I get it, I fully understand. but that's not how I'm doing it. So I'm just gonna square this up. Like I said, I'm gonna start out with 1,000 grit for just the runs, okay? When we get up to the roof and stuff like that, we're nice and flat, we're just gonna be rolling with like probably 2,500 to 3,000. We're not gonna be starting this low. I'm only starting this low because I don't wanna be here all day and I wanna get this knocked out. Whenever you sand, the perfect grit, in my opinion, to end with is gonna be a 3,000 grit. A 3,000 grit, supposedly, you can take wax on a rag and buff it out by hand. So if you can get your stuff up to a 3,000 grit, then your buff job is gonna be way easier, but you have to step up from every grit. So if I go 1,000, we need to next go either 12 or 15, and then we probably need to go up to a 2,000, maybe a 25, and then we can go to our 3,000. You don't wanna jump ahead too much. You don't have to go every single grit of sandpaper because there's a lot of grits in between there. You can go whatever you can get your hands on, but for me, a normal rule of thumb is like, if you're at 1,000, then go somewhere in between, 12, 15, and then go another in between to the 2,000, and then 25. So basically like 1,000, 15, 2,000, 25, 3,000. But you can go in between whatever you can get your hands on. Like I said, it's not gonna hurt anything. You just have to make sure that you get all of your grits out prior. You can also put soap and water in a bucket and dip this in a bucket and come up and down. I don't like that because you could be pulling dirt out of your bucket back onto your panel. I like using a spray bottle because I'm continuously flushing it down and off the panel. So I'm gonna start with my 1,000 and I'm just gonna roll over this run nice and even. I'm not gonna focus too much on near where the body line's at right now. I'm just gonna try to get this flat area out, but that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna time lapse a lot of this and I'm just gonna keep sanding this just like this, back and forth over this run to cut it down and keep looking at it. And then I will show y'all here in a minute what we got. All right, so this is what you get once you start cutting it out. You can see the water still there. So the shiny parts are the edge of the run, okay? That are not, it's not flat. You can tell it's not flat. It's basically like a guide coat. You can see your low spots. I'm gonna start working slowly towards the body line. I'm gonna go a little bit past the body line, but I'm gonna stay flat on this panel. I'm gonna stay flat on this panel and let them intersect. I'm not gonna ride at a 45 across that body line. But you can, 1,000, cut it out really fast, cut it down. So, and it's still drying out, as you can see, so let's keep going. All right, so now that I got it most of the way out, I'm going to step on down to 1,200 because I know there's still some there. Let me see if I can catch it in the light. See it right there? Watch the reflection right here, okay? You see how the reflection looks equal all back here? You can actually see it in the shadow right now, okay? See how the reflection changes? That's from the depth of the clear because we had a run there. So we know we're still not perfect. And when you wet sand and buff this, you'll still see that, which is fine. If you wet sand and buff something and you still see your run, then just recut that one area out. It's not a big deal. But what we're gonna do, since we know we have most of it out, we're gonna now switch to 1,200 and we're gonna start stepping up because as we step up, it's gonna continue to cut clear coat off the vehicle. If you're ever wet sanding also and you see your color, then you've went too deep. It should look milky white. That's clear coat coming off if you've got enough clear coat on there. All right, so here we are. Let's get where you can see it. So now let's watch the reflection. Okay, you don't see the change like we did a second ago. A second ago, you really seen the change. Like now, this line that's moving right here follows us, so that's a shadow of my arm or something. But besides that, you don't see the change at all. Like honestly, like it's not a trick of the camera. I'm trying to help y'all out. I'm not trying to make myself look good. So you don't see it. So then you feel very confident. And I did decide to, instead of rolling with a 1,200 like this, okay, I had a little piece of 1,500, so I went ahead and rolled with 1,500. You don't have to go low. You can wet sand this run out with 2,500. It's gonna take you forever though. So if you don't have access to the same grit sandpapers, that's fine. You don't have to. You can wet sand a run out with pretty much anything, but it's just going to take way longer. So I just went ahead and jumped to a 15. That way I can go 1,000, 15, and then what else do I got? I got 2,000 sheets right there. So that's going to be perfect for me. So I can go my 1,000, my 15, and then my 2,000, and then I'll jump to a 3,000. And I actually have 3,000 on the block. So here's your blocks of 3,000. Let's see if I can get them to open. Anyway, they look like this, okay? It's a Trizac. So here's the exact 3,000 I use if you want to Google it, Amazon it, and see if you can get it to your door. There's the part number and everything. They do make 3,000 for, they make, let's see here, this is 1,500 for the DA, but I'm not going to put a DA on this car. And here's 3,000 for the DA. 3,000 on the DA is pretty good, but I am a budget painter, so I'm not a big production shop, so I don't just go to the paint store and buy whatever. They actually had these on clearance up there at the front of the store the other week, so I grabbed them and I will block with 3,000. So we're gonna roll with that on 15. I'm cool with that. I also stepped out just a little bit farther, like my 1,000 was like to here. I stepped my 15 to here to make sure I got all my 1,000 scratches out. You have to get all of your other scratches out completely. I've got a little bit on the top edge right here, but we do have a window that goes in here and covers this up, so you don't want to get carried away wet sanding up there because you also have to buff it. Another tip while I'm thinking about it is, I know a lot of people are going to freak out because I'm wet sanding in my paint booth and buffing in my paint booth. I'm a salvage title total loss shop. I'm not a production shop. I clean my booth, before I do a big job, tape it up, do all that stuff. My booth's already dirty. I'd rather wet sand and buff in here where I have good lighting and it's clean and I don't have to worry about anything getting on it when I leave here if one of my employees comes in to do some side work than anything else. I'm also laying my paper I'm using up here on top of the roof of this car because I know the roof's clean. If I lay it back over here in this box is a little dirty. You don't want dirt on your sandpaper when you're wet sanding and buffing, because then that's going to put scratches in it and you're going to see them later. So you've got to keep what you're working with clean. Wherever you put it at does not matter, but it needs to stay clean. Also, if you're using a bucket, if you'll leave your sandpapers in the bucket of water, they'll soak up water, and some people say they work better whenever they're already like preloaded with water. And normally our mixture, whether it's in a bucket of water or a spray bottle, is a little tiny bit of Dawn dishwashing soap to water. So if you're using a spray bottle like this, you would literally do like 1 or 2 drops of Dawn to the rest of the bottle of water. So we're going to keep wet sanding. We're going to start on this one. I'm going to just time lapse it. I'm going to go through all the steps on time lapse and then catch back up with y'all. All right, so now that we have our trouble areas cut out, so we have this area, we have that fat one that we started with, we had a little sag here, a little run sag thing here, and then definitely a sag across here. Also had a little build up on the door edge right over here, okay? So I went ahead and just knocked that down. If you can avoid your door edges and you can live with whatever mistake you put there, live with it. Don't do your edges if you can help it. That's the number one spot that you'll cut through on. So what I've done with mine is I've done it where it's, I've got the head off. You can still see it's a little build up. Around the edges on all your vehicles, you'll always have build up, even on a brand new car. If you were to start sanding the panel from scratch, there's always going to be build up like that on the edges. But I didn't want that little head that was going on right here, like the start of a run where it had ran down. So I left it to this point because we don't want to cut through. By the time I do my 2,500 over top of all this, because I'm at 15 right now, so then I'm gonna do 2,000, and then let's see here. I got 2,000. I'm lost where I'm at. Yeah, not 2,500. By the time I do my 2,000 over all this, I'm at 15. Then I'm gonna go 2,000 and then 3,000. All of that will be gone away. So I just don't want to take that 100% down because I don't want to cut through. But being the camera set up right here, I'm gonna go ahead and roll 2,000 over this whole panel up to the roof line. But I'm not gonna go over it on the other panels, like I said. This is the only one that I'm gonna, just update y'all with steps. And stop right now. If you have any tips or pointers, comment down below. to help others out, or maybe I'll learn something. I know I've learned something from y'all already. And there's so much information that I just don't have time to go over and teach. So if you can add value to this video nicely to help other people out that are learning, definitely comment below. So on my 2000, I'm gonna switch to a soft block, okay? This block is soft and it's gonna roll more over it. You don't wanna use a soft block on runs, because if you have a run, like let's pretend like this is a nasty big run, then what a soft block does is just rolls over it, okay? That's all you're gonna do. Whereas a hard block actually will ride on top of it and actually cut the run, keep cutting the run down until it's flat to the panel. So you don't want to use a soft block on a run, because all you're going to do is roll it. It'll look like it's gone. When you buff it, it'll still be there. But now that we feel confident that we have our actual runs gone, we're going to switch to a soft block, because we don't want to hard block all of this. I don't, because you all remember all the filler that we skim coated on these panels. They could still have a little wave in them, so whatever's in it, I'm sorry, but in this situation, I just want to roll right with what's already there, and the block to be flexible, roll over. All I want to do is notch the orange peel out, because I think it looks absolutely amazing. It looks straight as can be, and I'm not trying to chance it with a hard block, because we're not trying to build a show car, we're just trying to build a really good looking car. So let's get rolling with the soft block. So here's what we got. So you see the texture in there, same thing as our guide coat. Them are lows, the sanded part is your high. So there's a piece of trash, and there's some orange peel that's left. So we need to cut a little bit more on this panel. Not bad for the first running over, but you can see it starts to really bring out all of the orange peel, you know. When I'm doing this around here also, a lot of times my pinky is running in this groove. Now sometimes my sandpaper does hit it like that, but so I don't dig that line out, I'm riding my pinky in that groove as I'm wet sanding, okay? And then down here, as you can see, I'm not getting down here near the body line. I'm riding my pinky against that groove. You don't want to get near your body lines, but there's what you're looking for, okay? If you still have this left, any of this left, you need to keep on sanding, because it's not enough off of it. You can see all this up here, a lot of it's gone. Like all this right here, this is done. But all this right here, we still have a little bit of orange peel that we need to get out, and then all of that up there is done. And I did lightly hit over these flats. They actually look amazing. Like I didn't put that much time into them, because I don't want to cut through. All of this up here is done, and then all of this flat is done. So all of that flat is already done, and then a lot of that's done. So just go back over the areas that have orange peel and keep on cutting. We're gonna put a new piece of 2000 on there and run over basically from there down again. How do we look on a first quick sand? Not bad. Not bad. A couple little pieces of trash, such as right there. But I mean, it's minor, man. For a quick sand with 2000 grit, that looks pretty good. So I'm thinking I probably roll with that, because there's no major trash in it at all. I've got one piece right here that I might get. There it is. Okay, I'll probably go ahead and hit that. And there's one right here. Get a light on it. Right there. Besides that, man, that looks good for a quick buff down. Well, actually, there's like 1, 2, 3 right there, and 1 right there. So besides that, I think we're solid on the roof. So I'm gonna hit them spots, knock them down, and then I think I'm gonna roll on that to buffing. So what will work next, work down on this quarter. Before you know it, with a time lapse, we're gonna be pulling the buffer out. This is where we're at. So all this looks good. A little bit of orange peel left, but it's very, very minor. I got a little area right here, okay? Start of a sag that I need to get. And I got some more orange peel down there. So just like the other panel, you know, it got it good on the first pass. And you can see where I didn't get all in my body line really, okay? But I'm gonna go over it one more time. So I got some good orange peel in here. So I'm gonna go over all this. This looks pretty good. All this looks good, so I don't need to mess with that no more and chance cutting through. But I just need to go over all of this one more time. The tops look good, just like the other panel. These are pretty easy to sand. So I need to get this and just run over that bottom again. Let me take the time to explain the reason why this ran, okay? If you notice, I didn't have no runs like this. It's because I'm actually not that terrible of a painter. I know there's probably somebody in the comments saying that you really are, you suck. The reason why, but let me help you out, okay, from my mistakes. The reason why this ran right here is because if you watch this video, I painted this. It's high solids clear, so it's heavy, okay? Then after I painted all this like this, I'd move on to maybe up here, okay? Then I come back and I do this again. So now I'm overlapping this basically. Instead of, 50% overlap, so you're overlapping everything one time, I had to do an overlap to get started, and then an overlap to roll your first pass, and then a 50% overlap there. So I basically overlap this area 3 times. And that's where I always mess up, is when I'm using a heavy clear or something like that, and I overlap too much, and I just put a little bit much too down instead of reminding myself to back off and don't put quite too much. It ran right here, same thing on the other side, it ran right here, because I was focused too much on getting clear in here. This doesn't matter. I should have just taped this up and not even painted this. I should have just left this black because it costed me mistakes down here. So the clear coat got too heavy on here and gravity just pulled it down out of the corner on here. And it's too much going on right here and gravity got the best of me. Same thing on the other side when we had the run down here it was just from painting like this, okay, and you're overlapping all this, and then your brain says, oh, well, you need to get that. So then you spray like this, and then you're like, oh, you need to get that. So then you pass like this. Now this area right here and this area right here has had 3, 4, 5 overlaps, whereas your actual panels only had 50% overlaps one time. That's how you get the mistakes, is by putting too much clear on the area and not thinking. Same thing on the edges. It's where we flick off like that, off the ends, you flick your gun off, and then you come back in and you take your time and you roll out the door jambs. You've now had 2 or 3 or 4 passes over the edge. That's how you get your runs. So, piece of advice, even though I messed up, but hopefully I can help you on yours, is just be mindful of that when you're overlapping. What should have happened on this is I should have painted it like this, and then I should have rolled like this, okay? And you kind of wrap your gun around the side like that, okay? And then maybe one on the inside track, flick it and done. Then I wouldn't have got all that. Instead of being obsessed with doing this, and then coming and doing this, and then rolling down doing this, and then the jams. And this panel should have just been like this. Like, it should have just rolled like this and then rolled straight through, all the way down and been done. And then, in your jam. So I know why I made my mistakes. I always try to improve on them, but that don't mean it happens, or that don't mean when I'm in the moment that I remember to not do something. So I'm learning every day. But there's a piece of a tip for you, so hopefully you can avoid making the same mistakes. Let's finish this panel. Alright, so I'm happy with that. A lot of this is water. I should dry this stuff off before I show y'all so it don't look so bad on camera. But hopefully you can catch the gist of it, okay? A lot of it's gone. There's still a little bit there, but like I said, our goal is not to get it 100%. Our goal is not to create some stupid flat show car. Our goal is to make it look good. That's all our goal is. And it's gonna look good just like this. So let's get the cut and the buffing. And let's get some shine back on this bad boy. What we're gonna do with our buffing is we are going to do a cut compound with a foam pad, okay? Or not a foam pad, I'm sorry. We're gonna do a cut compound with a wool pad. And for our cut compound, we're gonna use Meguiar's 105 Ultra Cut. Then we don't have to do a white foam pad on this one because it's not a dark color, so we can roll straight to our black foam pad, okay? So wool pad, cut compound, black foam pad, which is a polishing pad with finishing polish, 205 Meguiar's. Let's get this knocked out. I'm gonna time lapse it because I'm not here to really teach you how to buff because that's a whole nother video. Let's get this done. Alright, so here we go. Here's where we're at. That's the first buff. That's just cut compound. Looking it over real fast. I mean, it's looking good. It's got a very good shine on it. A lot of this stuff you're going to see now, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, that is fuzz off the buffer or wax. It's really hard to get these things clean. But you can see it's really good shine. Okay. Alright, so there we are after the final polish. So it looks good. Definitely happy with it. Still got some smudges all over it. It could use definitely another wax one final time. Maybe even the white foam pad and then back over it with a black wax. But I think that looks good. I don't think I'm gonna bore y'all too much by stretching this video out too far. That's the basics of it. It's all cut and buff down, and you know, I'm happy with it where we're at. So shell's cut and buffed. It's Monday, and this was supposed to be my day off. I'm supposed to have a whole week off of vacation, and I worked all day wet sanding and buffing. But it looks good. I'm happy with it. Got to speak with Randy about a couple things. We need to test fit these quarter windows, these carbon fiber windows in there, so I'm about to get up with him. But besides that, she's looking good. So hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. Maybe not. Maybe it's just entertainment. Anyways, like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully you keep watching. And I greatly appreciate everything that y'all are doing already. Y'all rock. Thanks.